have a very exciting guest today. Do you mind just introducing yourself and talking about who you are and what you do?
Well, thanks, Teresa, and thank you both for having me. So my name's Maria Harpas. I'm a clinical nutritionist and naturopath and work out of on Portrush Road here in Adelaide. And I've been practicing for nearly 11 years and studied for probably 20 before that. With all the interest, I had a big interest in health and nutrition because I wasn't really very well when I was younger, had lots of allergies and was searching for answers, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yes, as we all are.
I love, we were just talking before about all the different movements going on right now. And a lot of the information in terms of nutrition can be quite contradictory, and it's like, I don't know which one to listen to. And I heard you say that you've been a raw foodist and a vegan and a vegetarian and
now a carnivore
diet. And you've done it all and you've experienced it all. Is there a reason why you think that this like plant-based movement is taking off right now?
Yeah, I think people are getting really interested in finding ways to keep themselves healthy. And I think that we've got so much access. I think we were talking before about this access to information. We've got access to look up people's diets, what they're eating and how they're feeling, so much more than ever before. And I think people are really interested in anti-inflammatory diets, and that's why I think they're going for the plant-based, and they're looking for nutrient-dense diets. But I also think they want to make sure that they're looking after their microbiome, and so the fibres in plant-based foods can really help that, the prebiotics.
Oh, and microbiome being your gut, is it?
Gut flora,
We have prebiotics in Lovewell. Thanks to Chrissy.
And I think the pre, which are the really important ones actually.
Beautiful.
So.
Because you always hear about probiotics, but I haven't ever really heard about prebiotics
I know.
before. I had no idea what it was, to be perfectly honest. Can you just explain?
So prebiotics are the fuel to feed your beneficial flora, and they're selective, so they selectively feed the flora that we want. And so natural prebiotics are onions and garlic. So they're the main ones.
I'm getting some of those.
So that's good, and they're much better to maintain on than probiotics. Have specific uses to use them when at certain times when we're unwell, but prebiotics are the go-to for every day. So that's the way to go.
Done.
So that's really
well
good.
done on picking that.
And I think that's only becoming sort of known now in the last few years. So and there are it's good. I think it's really good that you've got prebiotics. It's great.
As a nutritionist, your job is to meet with clients and talk about maybe some different food choices they can be making. And do you, when you sit down with someone, do you talk about health ailments, what their biggest complaints are? Is there like a through line? Is there something that you're continuously hearing that you're like, she's feeling run down?
Well, in answer to your first question, definitely I think it's a big responsibility to work out and have someone change their diet, right? I feel quite responsible for that because it affects their health. Particularly long term is the main concern, but short term as well. But what we want to look at is first to see, well, what symptoms. There's 3 things we do. So what symptoms do they have? What do they want to achieve? And then we want to look at what can they manage in terms of changes, lifestyle changes.
Oh, that's really smart.
And how do they feel about it? What stage in their life are they at? A mother with children is going to be different to a single person. So they're really important things because it's no good for us to be here telling people what to do and then they can't do it. That's
because we've
not useful.
Been, like some of the women that we've talked to have said what they really appreciate about what we're doing with Lovewell is that it's just so simple. You can just chuck it in with water, hit it back, and you have your daily nutritional needs met. for me, that was a big thing because my life is so busy.
Yeah.
I think if I came and sat down with you and I was like, help me change my food, I don't know if I'd even have the time to be preparing and to be sourcing all the organic products. Yeah. So this is a quick fix for me.
Well, and that's so important. It's so, we're looking, it's fine to say you want to do this all naturally and all that sort of thing, but you have to have, I think, supplementation personally, like these types of whole food supplements are an absolute necessity in that sort of situation. And for a lot of people anyway, generally.
Yeah, James calls them an essential, not a supplement, an essential.
Yeah, that's right. Because you just can't get it. Our lifestyles are so different to what they used to be. So that's a big thing.
Chrissy and I have different roles in Lovewell, and I do more, the PR and the creative, and she's all about the business. And, it was Chrissy that actually sat down with a nutritionist to source our ingredients. And so I just rang her and was like, what are we putting in it? You tell me. And Prebiotics was one of them.
That's right. Yeah, the nutritionist, naturopath definitely recommended that as, and everything that is in there. Yeah. That was very important.
Yeah, it's good to have the backup of a professional as well.
Definitely.
I think. Yeah, it's important. And now I feel like I'm really learning from this process as well, which is great. Is there a particular issue that people are talking about and you're just hearing more and more of in terms of health and like things that people are trying to navigate?
And I think in terms of symptoms, a big thing is fatigue. People are really tired. So, and immune issues like autoimmune allergies and also gut. Gut is a big thing.
Gut health.
So, that diarrhea, constipation, bloating, that sort of thing, pain. So that's another big thing. They're probably the big ones that we see.
So funny because when I think back on when I was most unhealthy, it was when I was being so overly strict with my diet and I had cut out every single thing that could potentially be bad for me, and I was too restricted in what I was eating. And I actually ended up getting IBS. And so I had that for 1.5 years. I lost my period. I got cystic acne. And I think that you can take it too far too in terms of like the clean eating stuff. Have you ever had to deal with clients who come in and they're getting too obsessive in terms of food?
Yes, definitely. And I think, there is a time and a place. So that's when we're working out people's diet. It's if they're too much that way, and they don't need to be necessarily. Like the body is a little bit resilient. Like we can tolerate some things, and we want to get it to that point, don't we? So, that's a big mission. I always want to, whilst we might start with restrictive diets, we want to end up long term to have a diet as broad as possible. But, with whole foods and being sensible 90% of the time with what we're eating,
Oh, that's
so
great. Do you have like 3 key things that someone could change today in their diet?
Yeah, I think if we're going to be broad, it's always hard to be broad, but I think if we're going to be broad, I would be, number 1 would be processed foods. I think, stopping the processed foods.
Shopping in the... not in the middle, they say. When you go to the grocery store, you shop just on the outside.
The vegetables.
That's right. Whereas all the packaged stuff is like in the middle.
In the middle, So that's definitely processed foods. I think sugars are a big problem. And obviously some sugars are okay, but I think we really have to look at how much, normal cakes, biscuits, all that sort of thing is a real issue. And like, back when I was younger, it was you got 1 treat a week. Our kids, parents are happy if they're only having 1 dessert a day. So I think things have really changed, and we are seeing, so that's one of the things we do when we're looking at what we're going to get someone to do with changing their diet is we also want to check what their current diet is and what it's doing under the bonnet, like checking the blood tests.
I've been feeling so fatigued during my pregnancy, and they tested me for all the things. My vitamin D was great, and this was that. And then it was my ferritin level that's like extremely low. So I've been getting iron infusion.
Oh, have you?
Drips. And I thought that I was like, I'm feeling better. And then yesterday the nurse was like, that's actually just a placebo because it takes 2 weeks to kick in. I was like, oh, whatever.
But it's amazing how you get used to these symptoms. You get used to feeling
You
tired,
do.
and you think it's normal, but it's
You
not
think it's
normal to
normal.
wake up tired.
No,
It's not normal
no.
to feel bloated or gassy after a meal.
No, and
Yeah.
you do really get used to that. I used to wake up and my wet hair on my skin used to itch and irritate me, and I didn't notice until it was gone that I had that.
That's it.
And
Interesting,
so
yeah.
it's, definitely. And often people say I'm healthy, and then we go through some of their symptoms, and I'm like, no, that's not healthy.
That's not healthy.
Right, yes.
We've got to look at,
And how does
But
sorry.
I was going to say, we want to make changes and things, but we want to have fun with it. We don't want people to feel guilty about what they can and can't do, and to relax a little bit.
Be
Exactly
too
like what you were
restrictive.
saying before,
Yeah.
and have a bit of a process, and the bloods let you do that, let you get a little bit more specific, so you
Insight.
don't have to necessarily change everything.
And in your field, do you focus on, with your clients, having a positive mental attitude?
Yeah, so that's, I think thoughts alone can change gene expression. There's research to show that. So definitely. But I think, a positive attitude is a bit hard because that's based on our beliefs, right?
Yeah.
And so our beliefs dictate what we do and how we do things.
Yes.
And so I think if we want to change our mental attitude and, how we're looking at things, we have to look at our beliefs and be open to new ideas. I think from my vegetarian time to changing, and I'm still very high plant-based. I've had to really look at some of my beliefs and go, no, I'm open to looking at what that might do. If someone's talking about that,
Because you're putting health as number one.
absolutely. Health, and how I feel, absolutely.
Yeah, I love the idea of not being overly dogmatic about any one thing. I remember my husband has been vegan for 18 years, and he's a pretty strict vegan, but he's not, he'll eat a Tim Tam if there's a Tim Tam in the house, and if he can't find anything else, then he'll go to have cheese and crackers on the plane, and I do like that mentality because he's not so intense about his choices. He's like, oh, my body's really craving this, and I'm going to make that choice. And I transitioned out of veganism into vegetarianism in the last sort of 6 months. And I feel that my body is responding better to that. And so I really like that. I think you need to be open.
You do.
You absolutely need to be.
Well, otherwise you sort of get fixated, and then, you're getting unwell and you're not looking at other things that you're doing. Certainly if things aren't working, you've got to change it.
Yes, exactly.
So balance is key.
Yes.
So aside from having a positive mental attitude, are there any other factors that go into maintaining health?
Yeah, for sure. Even though nutrition is a really big one, of course, that influences health, I think sleep is really massive. And actually, when people have mood issues, sleep's the first thing that we get right, and as quickly as possible.
And what about sleep exactly?
So quantity, quality, sleep hygiene, what are people doing before they go to bed? Insomnia and waking when you're asleep, it's becoming really common. And it's really
affects your mental health.
Oh,
yes.
I remember having insomnia
massive.
and I was like, I'm a crazy person. I cannot survive.
Yes,
and
well,
you feel really unwell, don't you, when you don't sleep?
I didn't sleep last night, and today I'm like, I have brain fog.
I can't get away with it anymore. As you get older, it doesn't work. So sleep, and then there's stress management. So how people perceive stress and how they manage it is important.
Off camera, we talked about breath. The breath. Does that come into stress management?
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Things like that, yoga and walking and meditation, but also how you perceive it. You can have two people doing the same thing, and one sees that as something bad, and so that's going to be very stressful and harmful to their health, whereas the other person might be seeing it as fine, and so they don't they're not affected by stress. So, and then the other couple are environmental influences like Wi-Fi and chemicals and things in our environment.
Of course, yeah.
Yep, and social connection is a big one. So making sure that people have got good relationships,
not being
family,
isolated.
friends, and of course exercise.
Yes.
Too much,
Fitness.
too little, all of that
Getting
sort of
the
thing.
balance.
Yeah.
What about like one exercise class a week? We do.
Achieving at the moment.
I know.
F45.
It's hard.
Busy mummies. We get one in there.
Yeah. At least
But walking and there's lots of things, but it's time, isn't it? We're all
Time
so
poor.
stretched for
We talk about being time poor a lot.
Yeah. I know. Someone once said to me, "You get 24 hours in a day. That's it. Doesn't matter who you are, what you do.
Yeah, that's right.
Make it work." And I liked that.
Yeah.
And I think people are resilient, more resilient than they think. When we're unwell, we go strict at the beginning with what we do.
Yes.
But long term, the goal is to get them more resilient, to be able to have, I don't know about Tim terms, but I'm a nutritionist. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
Croissants, that is my thing.
I can't believe you guys had your first Tim Tam Slam with me the other day.
Oh my God, I know.
What is that?
And I was so bad at it
done
too.
that.
I was like milk trying to suck the Tim Tam out. And I was like, what is this? I just ended up eating half the packet, but that's okay. Balance, right?
Yeah, that's
I had broccoli for
And
dinner.
we'll explain that in another video.
Yeah.
Not with a nutritionist.
I know.
No, I'm definitely not a purist. That's for sure.
Well, thank you so much. This has been really insightful and amazing just to chat to a professional and hear your views. So
Thanks for having
we
me.
appreciate the
Thank you
time.
So much.